Welcome to More Action, the podcast for entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals. I'm your host, Sheley Brien, and together we have candid conversations with industry leaders to uncover valuable wisdom and lessons learned. My hope is you use these lessons to intentionally take more action in business and life. I hope you share and enjoy. All right. So, here on the show, we are all about sharing like the real, the raw, what is going on in order to help you. It's about understanding the action that you can take to continue to move forward. And that's like the hard stuff, the not so hard stuff, the great, all the in between. It's all of it. And so today is something that has been going on. I'm going to share something I felt in our business, our construction company, and we just kind of figured out some things over the last couple of days. And I'm like, I have to jump in and share this because I've already shared it with a friend and fellow business owner, and it like hit her. So I know that this could help someone else. So here we are. And before we dive in, I do want to tell you guys, we have been getting some more reviews, and I can't tell you literally how much it means to me. First off, you are absolutely helping spread the word. So thank you. This podcast is because of everyone listening in here, but also it really helps in the algorithm and podcasting and all of that good stuff. So this helps the show get out to more people. So I wanted to call out another review. This is it's Den_Hurt, Huert. And it says, love this. Sheley is always so great to listen to and so genuine with her messages. Great listen. Thank you so much. I try to be real because honestly, we don't have enough time for a lot of BS. We've got stuff to do, right? We all have stuff to do. So let's just get down to the nitty gritty. And that's what this episode is about. So just to give you a little bit of background, and here on the show, I give you like actionable, like after I reflect on something, or even when I'm interviewing someone else, I really get down to like, all right, what would you tell someone else in your shoes? How would you go about this differently? Or what would you do again? And I noticed, with our construction company, we are growing leaps and bounds right now. And I've felt from the beginning of the year that there's just been kind of this like increased stress, this increased pressure, this increased kind of friction. Chris and I, we are, gosh, we're about ready to celebrate 19 years being married, and everything that we've built together. We are incredibly focused, and we're incredibly different. And sometimes that can cause friction, whether you are working with your spouse like me, or you have a business partner. I've been in partnerships too. This is totally relevant to you. But like I said, I was feeling this pressure. I was like, holy cow, we are like, what are we doing? This is big, big. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, how are we going to do this? We've brought on a consultant. We've aligned with some other groups of people in the Valley. We are doing things different and bigger. And whenever you're doing things different, it's going to cause a little like it's like, oh my gosh, like, okay, what am I doing? And a lot of it is right now, we've built businesses before. So to this point, we've been here. We get it. We understand the challenges. We understand the different, like, I want to say like easier parts. We can see stuff quicker now before it becomes bigger. And so we can handle it, move on. We know who to call. We have lots of resources, all that good stuff. But now we're entering uncharted territories for Chris and I. We've built great businesses, but this is a whole new level. And, it's like I have apprehension about it just because it's new. And I haven't been here, so I don't have like my past to really push on or lean on or provide proof to me when I'm feeling stressed or uncomfortable or nervous or worried. And it's one of those things that I feel like when you entered this, you have to kind of stop and pause and be like, okay, recognize that kind of unsettling feeling in your gut. I think you always got to trust your gut, but then like, what is it? What's going on? And I know it's because we're new in this space as far as getting this big. We are growing a company now that is affecting the community larger than we ever have before. We have so much more knowledge and experience now than we have. We have so many hard lessons that we learned that we can apply to this business that we already have that are just reaping large rewards. And that's why I always say, like, take the failures, take the lessons, because I promise you, you'll use it later in life. And we're speaking in larger numbers, larger dollar amounts, larger time frames. We're bringing on more employees at different levels than we have before. We're partnering with large organizations. We're collaborating with incredible business owners. So there's just all these different feelings that it's just on a larger scale now. And I've always said this, and this is what's been really neat with Chris and I doing this, and this should be true. I hate the word should, but this is something you always want to look for in a partner, whether it's your spouse, and or I'm specifically speaking to your business partner, is that you want to have someone that has different strengths than you. Because if you are both comparable in your strengths, why are you partnering? You're literally hiring yourself. You got to find someone to offset that. And one of the things that Chris and I are so blessed with is the fact that each other's strengths is the opposite person's weakness. And so we balance each other really, really well, but we are different. And we approach construction differently as an organization because of our previous experience, our customer journey, our customer experience, our collaborator experience. The way that we see this company going, we are going to do it very, very different. Well, I've noticed this like friction and tension between Chris and I, just like any business partner. There's maybe shortness, maybe a little bit of tension, maybe some occasional anger or frustration, maybe lack of communication or too much communication. There's just been a little rip. And if you haven't listened to it before, I think it was episode 49. I'll double check, but I'll link it in the notes. Chris and I have had 3 episodes that we've shared on the show now, but like how we are on the show is how we are in real life. And that first episode I referenced, I'm almost 100% sure is 49, is how to make sure that your marriage stays your strongest partnership when you're working together. And so that is something that is really important to us, is to always make sure that our marriage is number one. Everything else will follow. Our marriage and our faith and our family. And so we make sure that that stays true. Everything else will follow. Doesn't mean that we aren't going to experience challenges. And so with all of this, I could just tell stuff was going on, and it kind of came to a head. And I'm like, we got to talk. And this is not going to be a fun conversation. And it wasn't. Again, it was not a super fun conversation, but it was one that needed to be had. And there was a couple things that were really eye-opening. And I wanted to share one with you today. And that's the fact that while our large goal of building our company to a certain level is the main thing, money is always like kind of the one goal, right? Like people don't talk about this, but they have like a threshold, the number they want to hit. How they do it on the different businesses is all there. Depends on the people and the circles that you talk to, but it's like building this business that's going to be a legacy business. That's very important for Chris. It's very important for us. But it's always deeper than that. It's bigger than just money. And I've done a lot of work on this personally over the last several years to realize that one of the most important things to me is memories and experiences with my kids and us as a family. That is my number one priority. And so everything I do is building for that. Now, what's great is Chris's goal is grow this as a legacy company. Like we share that goal. He is focused on all things to that. he hasn't had the opportunity or the time to really kind of settle down and like think a little bit deeper. I don't fault him for this. We are in this significant growth phase right now. And sometimes you don't have the opportunity to do that as much as you like. Something I've grown personally over the last several years. So I've definitely invested the time. Again, not bad or good. It's what is. But what Chris didn't understand is a lot of the decisions that I was trying to implement, a lot of the things that I was trying to implement ultimately were to free up more of his time because I wanted his time so we could go create those memories. And listen, this might be a little controversial because everyone will be like, you know what? No vacations right now. No, this, focus on the business, do the business only. I don't think it's an either or. That's my mentality is I don't think life is either or, right? Like either you're focusing on the business or you're enjoying life. I think that you can do both simultaneously. It's how you approach it. But my actions and things that I was offering to the business were challenging him in the way that he is so focused on growing the business right now, giving up, control of certain things that he's not ready to yet. And I get that. That might be our next episode that we record together. But even like freeing the time and thinking to step away isn't a place that he's ready to be in. And so we were kind of having that friction on, he didn't understand where I was coming from. And I wasn't understanding truly where he was coming from and the position that he's in. Now, this comes back to so many things that I talk about is that you can never control anyone else except yourself, right? But it comes down to having these hard conversations. And like, I'm having this conversation with my husband, who I dearly love, who's also my business partner, the father of my children, like our leader in our family, our provider. Like, this is our protector. Like, this is a big conversation, but it needed to be done. And so when I told him, like, I'm asking you to do these things so that in the future, not right now, in the future, we can have your time to be able to go and do these other things. And it was like, oh, I get it. Our goal remained the same. We were sharing the same goal, but the way that we were getting there was very different. And so that's where a lot of the friction was coming from. Now, friction isn't bad. I actually think friction and challenge and hardships are the best lessons and the best way that you can get crystal clear on what it is that you want. And so this conversation, while it was hard, was so good and so needed. So much so that this is now going to be a scheduled conversation. Because here's the deal, and scheduled, whatever, you guys take it how you want. I lead a very scheduled life. We are very busy, and that schedule provides me freedom. But I also know that if we don't have this continuously, this check-in at this level, now it's not always going to be friction, but this deep of a conversation, we don't know what each other are going through in different periods. I can't know, even though we've been married for so long, we've been together since 20, like, I don't know. And so having these conversations, because your mindset will change based upon the experiences that you have, the lessons that you're learning. So your goals will also change with that. My goal was not that previously. It was all about building the freaking business, having the notoriety, getting the little trophy that said I did a good job. Now I have way moved on from that. And I know what is important to me. And because of that, I'm making decisions and focus and choices that all align with that. And now Chris knows. And so I also understand where he is and what his goal is. And we realigned on everything. And it was a tough conversation, but damn, it was good. And so I wanted to bring this up because depending upon where you are and whether you have a business partner or not, or you're thinking about having a business partner, these are things that you want to talk about and you want to think about. Festering and not talking about it and keep moving forward and thinking it's all going to work out, I promise you it won't. I've experienced it. And so I wanted to leave you real quick with just 4 points that I pulled from this experience. You just listened to the episode, but I pulled from the experience that I think anyone could apply to their partnership, to their goal setting, to what they want to do. Or excuse me, what you want to do. So number 1 is I want to make sure, or excuse me, always make sure that you understand your business partner's true goals. It's bigger than money. I promise you. This could be tied to freedom, safety. It could be proving someone right or wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. Using a little bit of your dark side. The main thing is that that's their goal. And you need to understand, it is imperative that you understand what your partner's true goals are, and they are going to change, and that's okay. So is yours. So the other thing is to know and set your roles. It's like I just took the kids to go watch the new Ghostbusters movie. It's like, don't cross the lines. Do not cross the lines. And that's like, you got to know what you do and what Chris, your partner does. Chris, we have very different roles. Like I said, we're very different strengths. Why would we do the same thing? That is ridiculous. We leverage our strengths in the areas of the business that we can. And it is truly so good. Do not cross the lines. If you do, make sure that they know your intentions for crossing the lines and where they're coming from. Because more often than not, you guys are always focused on the same thing, just looking at it differently. Now, number 3, clarify. Something is said, a goal is said, or new metrics are set, KPIs are set. Clarify. Make sure everybody from leadership down to every single team member, they all know, and expectations. You can clarify everyone else's needs and clarify the needs that the company has as well. Cannot say that enough. Clarify expectations. And last one, I already have probably said this multiple times, but it deserves its own point, is that remember, more often than not in a partnership, your big goal is the same, yet you have very different ways of getting there. There is nothing wrong with that. And if you guys are different, that is so freaking good if you can honor it, because that difference is what will separate you. When friction happens, come back to these 4 points, remember the overall goal, have the tough conversations, and realign, come back. You're going to do it again. You're probably going to have more friction again. You're in a good spot if you are. If there's no friction, I challenge you, you guys aren't doing enough. And you aren't growing enough. I can tell you right now, I'm like almost excited for like 5 years from now to see where Chris and I are. And if you didn't listen to it, the last episode, I shared 3 lessons that were, or 3 beliefs that I have figured out are actual stories and not truth. So go back, listen to episode 133, but I thank you so much for tuning in today. Don't forget, share this out. It's how the podcast has made the waves that it has. And I'm just so grateful for each and every one of you.